message for this video is do your best. Now, this may seem pretty obvious. Yes, do my best. But this is a principle that I live by, among many other principles that I would live by, to help me achieve what I want in this world. And if you want to do your best towards something, then you would look at that something and say, well, what is the best to do for that something? Now, may you say it's view count, or popularity, or it's impact, or it's this or that. What about be your best as well? Because you cannot just do your best without being your best. This is the key point. There's a lot of things I could do, a lot of ideas, a lot of actions I could partake in, a lot of people I can talk about, people I can talk to. But the question is that the best for me? Because I can't leave the equation when I'm looking at the nature of reality. I can study reality and question, well, why do things manifest? How do things manifest? What can we learn from the world? But I can also look at myself. What can I learn from myself? I'm part of the same reality. I'm part of the same world that you live in. But my best is not your best, right? And I understand myself the best. And you understand yourself the best. So that means that we need to understand what is our own best, and also understand then how can we do our best. These are two separate things but intertwined. Okay, let's look at different scenarios. Older people who care about some really important topic. Okay, maybe they say, oh my gosh, this young generation knows nothing about freedom. They need to understand some of these really core aspects to this life. They may partake in sharing, their message through the mediums that have always been used through the course of their lifetime. But as the new generation grows and they have new technologies and new ways of sharing things, are those older people going to appeal to the young people? Are they going to get with the times? And the same thing goes for the younger people. Are they going to appeal to the older people? That is the matter of if you are going to do your best to make an appeal to all types of people, whether it's this person or that person, right? And so doing your best means that. But perhaps you also don't want to lose the sense of self in the process. Because, like I said, there's many things I can do or you can do that maybe, could help us do our best, but it necessarily isn't always the best thing to do for you to be your best. Because without you being your best, you lose a sense of you. And when you lose the sense of you, what sacrifice are you making for the greater good? What sacrifice are you making? And with the lack of your own reason, this is why objectivism exists, is to understand that you must be in charge of you. Because only you can. And when you make this sacrifice, and Ayn Rand would say altruism is this greatest evil, what she's trying to say is that people have subverted themselves. They've given away themselves. And is that not slavery? Is that not the lack of ownership over yourself? So sacrifices should be made, but it's a matter of understanding when and where, how ultimately it should be made. Because that goes for everything in this life. What food should I consume? How much of it? What environment should I consume this food in? What people do I talk to? In what environment? How do I present myself to them? The questions that bother us or come to mind on a day-to-day basis all tie back to the simple principle of do your best, but also don't forget to be your best. So you have to be your best first, and this is why I admire and have great respect for people who greatly take care of their health, their body, or aspects thereof, because they recognize its importance. Now, the identity and other things they add on to that may thwart away from the basic, most essential needs, such as health, right? I want my hair to be healthy. I don't need it necessarily looking a certain way. There's a lot of things that I do on camera. It's like, hey, I don't really care how I look sometimes or how I present myself sometimes, as long as it's good enough for me to get the message out, enough for me to do my best. And I think it's my best because I'm being myself, however, first, my best. I don't want to be somebody else. I want to be myself. And I encourage everybody to be themselves, because honesty is the key to right action. Honesty is actually not talked about enough. But if you were to question what is the most honest reality, It is one past all the illusions. It is one most natural. It is the one most truthful. It is the one most right. And these words all correlate to ultimately the same path, the same purpose, destiny, and direction for humanity. That's a matter of finding our place. What I call in my second book, finding the time and place in all things. Your belonging, where you belong, your senses. Are you able to sense? Without the ableness, you cannot do. So you cannot be if you cannot do. You cannot do if you cannot be. You must be. That's why I promote presence and simplicity. I live my life by very simple principles, such as do your best. Because when you look at any scenario, if you're trying to do your best, let's look at research. I'm going to research something. Why? Because I want to help something. Maybe it has to do with a certain thing I'm trying to achieve. Now, there's not a lot of uses for research, in my opinion, because there's many methods that you can go to other than research. I could talk about that in a separate video. But research, let's say you are to research, you may say, okay, well, I'm going to do my best researching. What does that mean? Does that mean looking through multiple pages of results? Does that mean researching several different perspectives on purpose, trying to see what disagrees with you? Does that mean looking at the sources and going deeper into the rabbit hole and trying to find alternative information and using alternative search engines? You find out and say, well, wait, doing your best means a lot more than just saying doing your best. You have to act. It means doing. You know, you can't get past the first word if you're not doing. You have to do your best. Okay, you can't just say it. So when I'm on this channel and I'm saying, hey, I got all these ideas, I want to do this and this and that, some things may change, some things may go another direction, and I'm going to see how I can do my best within my own life, but I'm not going to forget who I am. I'm going to be my best first. So this is super important because as people, whether they gain followers or whether they gain an impact or what have you, they may lose a sense of self or they may lack that fundamental understanding of themselves. So I constantly self-reflect. I constantly sit back with my conscience to question, am I being my best? Nonetheless, am I doing my best? Because that comes next, Once you find yourself, you can say, okay, well, I can maybe help find the world. Because how could you claim to heal or love someone if you can't heal or love yourself? This is what it means to walk the talk. This is what it means to practice what you preach. So it's really crucial that when we take actions, and people might think this is minor, and people might think this is conjecture, it isn't. Because simple principles guide us in life. There's a lot of people who don't live by simple principles, or they can't identify them. This is one I can identify. So, to choose or not to choose to do something is because you know what that something or not something will do. So you know what will happen to be your best. Because if you do not pay attention to yourself, then you really can't do your best either. You can try to sacrifice all your energies for other people and assume, okay, well, this is how I do my best. It's just complete sacrificing who I am. But you will come to find out that that is not being your best. And it's not doing your best, actually. Because in order to do your best, you have to be your best first. Okay, so I hope I made that point clear. I'm not going to stress too much about it as I move on here. Is it too much to ask for this really simple notion? And if you say, well, yes, it is too much to ask because, well, it requires you don't be lazy. It requires some motivation, some inspiration. Here I am. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. And if you say it is too much to ask, well, then don't expect to achieve anything. Because everything takes effort. Everything takes energy. And then you receive that energy back once you put it out there, once you find it. And it's a matter of doing your best in order to achieve your best. Okay, so when you say, oh, I tried everything, no, you haven't. You say you tried everything, you haven't tried everything because you haven't received everything back. You haven't received anything if you feel like you have no worth based on you trying everything. Okay? You can find in anything, and that is a something among the everything. And then as you acquire more somethings, guess what? You have more of everything. And once you have more of everything, to a lot of people, that's going to seem like everything. Because that's how powerful it is to have something and many somethings, many anythings, when a lot of people may feel like they have nothing. So sacrifice does not mean forget yourself, Doing right to others does not mean you shouldn't do right to yourself. Okay, this is a big aspect of doing right behavior. A lot of people feel like they should just only look at the interactions they have with other people and the things that they say, okay, don't do this because that's a crime, don't do this because it's illegal, don't do this because it's unlawful, don't do this to other people. But what about to themselves? Are they not part of the same equation? It is, because if they do not treat themselves with respect, how again can they give that to others? This is so crucial. That's why you have to do your best. You're not doing your best if you're only treating one part of the problem, if you yourself are part of the problem. And a lot of people are not going to respect you if you're part of the problem, or if you seem to be part of the problem, or if you are adding on to the problem. And I may seem like another ranter online that seems to be adding to the problem, but am I? Or am I getting people to think when people do take my words and understand them? I'm expressing myself. I like to. This is what I enjoy. It helps me be my best. So I'm doing my best. Because, well, I could not put out this video and I can keep those ideas for myself, but what good does that do for the world? You know, the internet has allowed us to expand our minds, to share ideas with others. That's what the internet is for. It's a powerful tool if it is used, and it can be used to do your best. And it could also be used, however, to be your best if you are researching or connecting with others, and I have gladfully done so. Never thought I would, but I do. And I find more places, and I network with more places, and it happens. And things fall together. And I may not say I have the greatest status of achieving things, but I've achieved already more than what I have expected. I have met more people than I have expected, and that enough is proof. Enough is the proof is the fact that we are doing things, the fact that we are creating change. And when younger people, older people, people of this group, or people of that group complain about another group, they need to look at themselves again. Okay? So let's get a little bit deeper into this. You want to do your best where you can, when you can. Okay? What does this mean? Well, it means abolitionism at its roots. I always somehow find a way to bring in abolitionism, don't I? I always seem to find a way to bring in nature, don't I? Well, maybe it's because it's inevitable. Maybe it's because every day we live our lives by choices, and those choices say, do this and not do this. Our choices say, this is more natural and this is less natural, based on the knowledge that we have. And again, I'm equating what is natural with what is right and what is healthy, in this case of knowledge, because knowledge binds all of these terms together. When you know something, you know what to say. You know to say no. You know what to do. And therefore, you can do your best, or you can provide for yourself the best. So, when you have abolitionism at its roots, you can end evil immediately. That's what it means to do your best. If you see an evil present, you get rid of it. Let's think of the 1800s, and everybody talks about immediatism versus gradualism in the case of abolitionism. What that means is some slave owners or some abolitionists were saying, well, maybe we should, give some time. Let's make this a transitional process where we end slavery. It takes time for this to happen, and then we can end slavery. And then you have the immediatists who want to get rid of it immediately. That was most of the abolitionists because they realized that it had to. It's an evil. Why should anyone allow any evil? And if we allow more evil, then evil continues to grow. It does not reduce. There's no way to reduce evil. Evil is evil. Okay? You allow any evil, that is the very problem with the world, is allowing evil. I have many videos about this, of course, as well, that allowing evil is the only evil. Because good people allowing evil things is a sign of slavery, and bad things happening to good people is the greatest sign of slavery. But a lot of people don't have the introspection and the reflection enough to realize that that is the case. It's really, really simple. And abolitionism says no to that, yes to that. Integration would be, I guess you could say, the opposite of abolitionism. But by definition, if you are an abolitionist or you're partaking in abolitionism, then you are integrating with something else. Because you're saying no to one thing, you have to be taking something. It's like saying, well, I'm doing nothing. Well, doing nothing, you're still doing something. It's like, oh, you say you have nothing, you still have something because you're able to say it. There's some people who can't even say that, let alone be able to make the choices to say that they aren't or have it or whatever. People have to be more grateful than they think as well, but that's a whole separate scenario. And, I can talk about temperance and patience and simplicity. And I can give some inspiration to some people who cannot find it. But I cannot be the one to be the source of all your inspiration, all your action, all your knowledge. That comes from yourself. Nobody should have the power in the first place to begin with doing any harm, okay? To even begin with doing any harm. Because it's just that simple. If you abolish the ability for people to create evil, to allow evil, then that ability will not persist. Like, you will naturally get good things in your life. This is, goes along the lines of natural attraction. If you can get rid of that which does not belong and fill your life full of things that are things that belong, you basically make the natural to occur, then you're constantly receiving things that will help you, things that will give you health, things that will help your life, and you constantly meet people that help you, people who will support you, because you're attracting it, you're finding it, and you're actively working toward it. Okay, you're not just asking for the intent and putting it into the universe, you're putting that intent in all ways. You're doing your best. And by abolishing evil, and by abolishing evil anywhere you can, you're doing your best. So when I come up to people and say, hey, there's a common law assembly, I know that the answer is even deeper than that. We just have to say no, right? And that means to do our best, to just say no to all authority and not pay, give tribute to them at all and not allow them to do any evil. That is to do our best. And you know what? There's another action that allows us to do exactly that. And it's through the common law assembly. A lot of people will say, well, that's paperwork. I don't want to get involved with paperwork. Well, is that not doing your best? You do want to do your best, right? Well, then you want to achieve the freedoms now, if you can do it now. If it can secure your life as well and be your best as well. Not just to do your best, but be your best. That's what it means to do some of the paperwork involved at the Common Law Assembly. If it helps you achieve your freedom, if it's actually working right now, it doesn't matter what people say about it. It won't matter what superstitions people have about it. What matters is the action. What matters is the people, the networking that you're achieving. That is doing your best. Meeting them, understanding them, fully delving yourself into what it is they're doing. A lot of them are doing it for mental, moral, spiritual principles. I put out a critique video about the common law assemblies as an accountability measure, because you need accountability. That does not mean that you just shun them off the face of the earth and say, well, they're all uncredible, they're using paperwork to prove freedom. Maybe you do need paperwork to prove freedom. They use paperwork to prove you're a slave. And they did it. And they convinced you that that paperwork proves you're not a slave, but it clearly does when you start looking into it. And they treat you like a number. They treat you like a piece of paper because they legitimize that system. And we can legitimize that system by using pieces of paper, but those pieces of paper maybe can lead us toward nature. What's the point of a book? A book is supposed to help you learn. What's the point of a food? A food is supposed to provide you with nutrients. The food itself, you say, it's this material thing. Why do we need it? Well, the thing that's in it. What helps us. The thing that it provides for us, that we digest, is what matters. Our digestion, not the nutrients within the food, not of what it is, but what we do with what it is. What we do with what is. So the truth is there, it's within the universe. It's a matter of us to take that in, to digest it, and to bring it to others, or to embrace it for ourselves. It's a process, and it's all a process of abolitionism. Again, what belongs, what doesn't. We make these decisions on a day-to-day basis, whether we recognize it or not. So, responsibility ensures ownership, ownership ensures sovereignty, and sovereignty ensures the end of slavery. I say this often, but that is what it means to do your best, is to say, am I fully responsible? Am I fully in ownership of myself? Am I fully sovereign? Am I doing everything I can to achieve that method? Does that mean natural law, common law, any means necessary to achieve that? If it allows me to also be in the safest position ever and to makes it easier for me to take the most natural route, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to build bridges, but I'm not going to forget what needs to be done. I'm going to build bridges, but I'm not going to forget that I have to walk over that bridge, that there's more bridges to build, that there is always more bridges to build. It's like there's always more roads to fix, there's always more foods to eat, there's always more people to feed, there's always more houses to build. There's always more work to be done. The one great work is never over. So, therefore, by your responsibility, never for a moment should You give way to evil. Should one ever give way to evil? And therefore, one should seek to reason with others. And how far will they seek to reason with others? Well, are you going to do your best? Or are you going to give up and say, oh, they're never going to listen? You'd be surprised. Some people will listen. Some people will change their mind. Some people will remember your word. Some people realize that they never heard this thing before in their life, and now they heard it from you. And maybe you're a friend of theirs, or maybe you gave them great respect they've never seen anywhere else, or an energy, a feeling that they never received anywhere else. So they're going to take that to heart, are they not? See, a dispute signals its need, the need to reason. When there's a dispute between people, or a misunderstanding, or a semantics debate, and I run into this quite often, there's a need to reason with people. And there's a question as to, are you doing your best? I can criticize people on words, such as the Common Law Assembly, and what they're doing with words, a lot of word magic, and reversing the word magic that was done onto us. But I can look at that and I could reason with them and say, you know what, that's fine, it's just words, it doesn't matter. What matters is what we're doing. We're networking, we're bringing people together. Guess what? That's already a ton. Right there, that's already so much more than what independent media has, than what the natural law community has, than what most people have and what they need, again, for change, for movement, for action. And people don't understand that networking is so essential if you're going to create anything in this world. You need people. But you don't just need people online or people educating people online. You need people in real life. You need bases. You need communities of people coming together, sharing their heart with one another. There's nothing like that, okay? I can share my passion with you through the screen, but how much of it are you going to feel? You might get some goosebumps. You might, feel like, oh, this music is cool. Oh, this guy is cool. Oh, he's speaking his mind. Like, you're not talking to me. But it would be pretty darn cool if you were, wouldn't it not? Wouldn't it be pretty darn cool if we knew each other in real life? If people did talk to each other in real life? If you saw somebody in real life who would be pretty darn open-minded to what you had to say and was willing to just hang out with you, let alone, just listen to you, let alone just look into the knowledge with you, let alone just take the foods and supplements you're recommending to try or to experiment or to help you in your life. I mean, people want this. But how much are we going to manifest it, bring it into our lives? That's a matter of how much are we going to do our best for not only the best, but your best. So, disputes will always occur, all that stuff. Accountability with involvement is great. Like I said, you can hold people accountable. You say, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Okay, but I'm still going to reason. I'm still going to get involved. I'm still going to realize the intent. And that is what matters. Intent and purpose, one and the same. Organization and networking is enough. Okay, again, the results is enough. When we see people doing their best, I mean, that right there is powerful enough to say, they put a lot of their energy into it. There's a lot of people who have made sacrifices for society, ancestors, people today, and we have to give them great respect. Maybe some of it came at their own demise, though. And we have to recognize that that's not so great just because they did some great things, just because they were able to put out what they put out. I put out things, I think, to some extent self-sacrificing my time and energy, my own health, but I did it, and I knew that I would actually benefit my health in the long run if I did it. So, you can look at it like that, but I really want people to take care of their health every step of the way, because having accountability also ensures that. I can think, oh, I'm feeling down, my body will tell me. Oh, I can think, oh, I don't have enough support, oh, my family will tell me. I have people, I have foods, and if you don't have people or foods, if you don't have environments, where do you think you're going to go? This is a huge factor among everything. You can be leading in the wrong direction. You can be experimenting with the wrong things, but it doesn't matter if you have the right accountability. It doesn't matter if you have the right road that fills those lines. So if you go a little bit out of bounds, you can say, oh, I can just go back into the bounds. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, this guy will just pick me back up. Well, if you don't have somebody to pick you up, if you don't have those lines, well, maybe it would just be a little bit more difficult to understand. Oh, there's a turn coming, there's no lines on the road. You gotta sort of make that. You gotta make those lines, whether in your own head or on the physical world. And that's the importance of talking to yourself or having imaginary friends. Some of you might understand what I mean, but that's how I looked at this video. I was like, how do I approach the subject of do your best? I could have came at it from 100 different angles, and I can run simulations through my brain as to how to present it to people. and you can drive yourself insane. And then you're like, well, I have to make the video. Well, whoa, did I even word it right? I question myself right now. Am I talking too much? I talk too much a lot. But the point is that you get the point. And the point is that I get the point. That I need to get clearer on things, that I need to make documentaries if I'm not clear enough, that I need to make better content if I feel like I am not making enough content to make myself happy, not just based on the results that I see, but because, I'm not attracting the people I want to see. That's another whole thing, right? Maybe I'm not looking for the numbers. Maybe I'm putting out consciously what content I want to put out because it's philosophical rather than news-based. Because I know if I put out news-based videos or drama-based videos, that is what I'm going to attract. And that's going to be my audience. But if I don't put out those types of videos, then what is my audience going to be? The one that I want it to be. It will be in my control. It will be one that reflects me if it is about, again, my interest. Or what is thereof being my best. So it's really important that people embrace opportunity where it is found, because that is what allows you to do your best. And when I say, we have a newspaper project, we have a summit project, I want you to get involved, because that is what it means to do your best. It doesn't matter if you can just write this or write that, or you build up and you practice, and over time you get better. That's how anything in this life works. I started roller skating and I did it every day, and now I'm good. And after just 1 month, done. I could probably do the same thing with working out, and maybe you guys would see some progress. And I tell you if I'm going to really embark on some sort of adventure. I think I'm going to embark on a lot of adventures, and I'm going to stay tuned with you guys because I like to share it. But I'm not doing it to show you guys. I'm doing it because, again, it's to do my best, and it helps me do my best. So the same thing goes for you. You have to do your best, okay? Which means if you have to put out content to do your best, do that. And it will help you be your best. If you feel like you need more accountability, or you feel like you're not doing enough, you need to motivate yourself. And you need to realize that, well, how are you going to get anything done if you say, it's too much to ask, it's too much. I don't have enough motivation, I don't have enough inspiration. Well, get off your butt and start doing it. Start practicing. Try something, right? And when I say try something, try it, you don't have a thumbnail in your video. Well, make a stinking thumbnail. Find an easy way to do it. Find a program to do it. I don't know how to record a video. Maybe start with a script. I don't want to show myself a video. Then start with a podcast. It's just that simple. I'm afraid of talking to the camera like we all are when we first start. Well, try have a conversation then with somebody else to get more comfortable with it. Or try just speaking ideas and then edit it and cut different pieces out. You can experiment in any type of reflection. I just came up with all those ideas within the last couple seconds. Imagine what ideas you can get if you sat down with yourself and really thought about it for 10 to 15 or 30 minutes on end. And I bet you most people have not if they haven't produced content before. They're like, I can't do it, I don't know how. I don't know what to put out there. There's so much to be put out if you realize there's information that people do not have. So that is not an excuse, okay? Greater appeal using the internet, the platforms, the current system. We can all do this, we can use YouTube, we can use Facebook, we can use all of it to make a greater appeal, to get the truth out to more people. That's what it means to do your best. We can build schools from the banks that we build. If we are getting involved with the Common Law Assembly, we're getting gold and silver backed banks, gold and silver backed schools. We can build anything. We can rebuild the infrastructure. We can rebuild the world we want, and we can do our best because we are doing our best. We're networking with the people who have the ability to make that possible. So let's make it possible if that is an opportunity. Okay, so I want people to have that positive spirit of doing your best, being your best, stinking go at the world and take it. All right? There's a lot of people who are like, I can get in touch with Joe Rogan, I can get in touch with this person, that person. I got in touch with a lot of big shots I never thought I would because I just tried and I did my best. There's also a heck ton of people that I reached out to and they never reached back, but doesn't matter. I still did my best, and you know what? I found some people I never still expected. I still got involved with connections I never would have expected. I still built a community I never would have expected. I still got to ideas I never would have expected because I just had that underlying spirit, that underlying passion. So I expect the same in you, especially if you want to achieve great change in the world. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey at Nenjalat. Nature is the answer. Do your best.